Good morning. It's now 8:02, so we can go ahead and call this Committee on Appointments to order. Nice to see everyone after a couple of weeks. Thank you, Mayor, for joining us. We have a few agenda items, and then we'll go to our discussion of our vacancy list, and I know we'll also talk about some of the year-end appointment pieces that we talked about at our last meeting. So our first item is a resolution confirming Mayor Bliss's appointment of Jason Osborne to the Grand Rapids Police Civilian Appeals Board. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Mayor Bliss, you want to add anything to this one?
No, I've been working on getting these positions filled, and I'm eager to have that body in full force so they can move forward.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No oppositions or abstention. It carries. Thank you. Next is a resolution confirming Mayor Bliss's appointment of Gary Mulder to the Grand Rapids Police Civilian Appeals Board.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Thank you. I'll just use your comments from the last one, Mayor. Thank you. I think Commissioner O'Connor has one opening. I believe I have somebody who's coming off, and so I
Mine
do
is
have.
also coming off, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. So we do have a couple of those. Mr. Davis did send us a note about a month ago.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no nays, no oppositions, it carries, thank you. Number 3 is a resolution confirming Mayor Bliss's appointment of Bill DeJong to the Southtown Corridor Improvement Authority. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
I believe this is a reappointment, Mayor. I think Mr. DeJong was on before, and it took a little bit of time for the vetting, but I think he has also been attending some of the meetings just as an observer.
Yeah, he's an active member of that area, so it's good to have him.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It carries, thank you. All right, so that is all of our business for today, and I see the clerk furiously going down to our openings. We have a couple of updates, I think, I would say. I know the mayor and I talked just briefly last week about some of the interviews that you're doing for Planning Commission, because we have a couple that will, at least 2 that are going off this year. I know last year, I think we have at least 1 resignation as well on this agenda. I'd have to go back and look at it again. I think we're going to fix what happened on BZA because we appointed somebody, we didn't have an opening. That person has now resigned, so I think we should be set there.
Okay.
Not that those are the most important, but we want to highlight those ones. For Civil Service Board, we have added a new member, Miss Malika Brown from GRPS, which has been helpful, but we still have an opening. Again, you all know that we're looking for somebody with like a legal background, HR background, compliance background is particularly helpful on that board. I know in the past, Daniel, maybe this was 2 meetings ago or even 3 meetings ago, all of the boards that were more so what I would call very specific to the industry or the body of work, so this Construction Code Board of Appeals, I know you had interacted with the liaisons just to see, some of those meetings don't happen as often as some of our other meetings, so just trying to do a check-in on those bodies. Again, just trying to segregate the different boards so we can put the priority and understand what truly are openings on this body. For the DID, I know the 3rd one down, Joel, if you could scroll down a little bit more. Thank you. I know that some of these were reappointments waiting to get vetted through. Is that still the case, Daniel?
Correct.
Okay. So some of those are, one of them is going to end this year, and then the other 3 are 24. So just continuing to monitor those. And those are all the mayor's appointments, I believe. So we've got you here, so we'll take advantage of you being here.
Tim Kelly and I meet, and we take a look at the makeup of that board. So I think once the reappointments, do we only have 1 vacancy left on there?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that will get updated. Brownfield Mayor, I know we've had this opening, we've had a name that was interested, but was trying to resolve some of the pieces that they had with the city. Hasn't gone any further, so I think we're probably going to need to move on to somebody else. There was somebody else that you and I had talked about before, and they're not sure if they're ready to commit yet, but we'll look at that one. You can keep on going. We just talked about the Civilian Appeals Board, so the only one that's showing right now is Commissioner O'Connor's, but we just did 2 for the mayor.
Okay.
So is this the most up-to-date information? I just want to make sure, because usually we see the one that's open that we haven't yet approved?
Yes, I'll confirm that.
Okay. All right. And then Commissioner Repart, you said you have somebody that's going to be ending too at the end of the year?
Yeah, Brianna is
Oh, that's right.
phasing off at the end of the year, so I'm looking for somebody.
Okay.
For the Metro Council Advisory Committee, my spots on Metro Council are filled. Do those individuals not then serve on the advisory committee?
You know, Kristen Turkelson had brought this up to me. I think this was not the last meeting, but maybe the meeting before. And she's like, I'm not sure why those are showing.
It's weird.
So maybe we can, I don't know, we could check with her just to make sure.
Yeah, so city manager serves on Metro Council, and then my other appointee is Lene Wells.
And then
So-
Kristen goes too, right?
And we have staff that attend.
Yeah.
And I believe Josh Naramore does as well,
Okay.
sometimes, depending on the issue. So this is unusual to me. I don't believe I have, because that's a multi-jurisdictional, multi-county body, I don't believe I have any additional appointments other
Okay.
than the two that we've already filled.
Okay.
So if we can follow up on that, that would be helpful to me.
Yeah, she brought that up last time because I said, she's like, we have so many people that go to this meeting on behalf of the city.
Yes,
So,
we do.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mayor. If you want to continue scrolling down, City Clerk, our Housing Appeals Board, I think this one, we were going to pull the PIFs to see who had applied. I think we had received a name. And then really,
We should remove the Kent County Board of Public Works.
Yeah.
That's not our appointment. I followed up on that, and that's a
this
Kent
is the one where it
County-
was advice and consent versus appointment.
Not even consent. We can make a recommendation. But,
Advice and thoughts, yeah.
yeah, we don't
Well-
that doesn't come before us for
Yeah.
a vote, so
Yes.
it shouldn't be on there.
I remember that was one that you and Daniel and I had talked about, so we can take that one off. Thank you. I don't have any updates about the Michigan Street Corridor. I will ask Commissioner Jones. I think I mentioned to you all for North Corridor, we have a number of new appointees and business owners, so we have been more focused on trying to get that core group up to speed, and then we hope in 2023 to go and fill that appointment. So that's our plan there. Commissioner Lanier, I know for public safety, did have somebody with a PIF. I don't know if they have been fully vetted. Thank you. I know you had followed up with me on that one. And then we just did Southtown. And I think we're still hanging out to see about, I don't have any updates about Uptown, but I would say, I know Urban Agriculture, we have asked the farmer's market, this is their appointment. But we said, is there somebody else we could appoint? At this point, they're saying they don't have enough individuals, but I think that they would like to keep it. So we're just going to keep that one open.
Whenever there's an open one there, I've got a few people who are
Yes,
interested in
I
that
think
one.
that's a popular one. So other than that, unless Mayor or Commissioner Repart, if you have any other updates, I think the next thing is really, we talked in our couple meetings ago about getting ready for year-end appointments and just making sure, particularly, I know, Mayor, you have a number of those year appointments, the rest of us do as well. Just making sure there's no, there's going to be no lag in their service, because they would need to fill out a new PIF, so. Even if they've been on for, even, like, say, public safety, that's a one-year commitment, do they do a PIF again for the next year?
Correct, that's
Okay.
my understanding, is that everyone should reapply with the vetting
Yeah,
due to the
okay.
home rule cities.
Okay.
Okay.
Chair, when are we going to finalize the changes to Vital Streets? I feel like we've been talking about
Yeah,
that
Mr. Tim Burke, our city engineer, I know came maybe, this was earlier in the spring, or actually in the summer that Tim came to talk about the changes, and I think they were gonna have one more meeting. I can follow up with him and see. But yes, I
Okay.
think it was across the board, everybody's in agreement, which is probably very good government before, and now we've done the work, it's continuing, and so we can reduce that. Because, well, if it is at the mayor's pleasure to continue to serve as the chair of appointments, I'd like to have one page of appointments, so that's my goal.
That's the goal.
Good goal. And the Regional Planning Commission as well. typically that's a city staff who serves on that. Usually it's Kristen Turkelson, so we
I
should
can ask-
follow up on that as
Yeah,
well.
I'll ask Kristen about those too. We usually try to catch up with her in between this and community develop, or this and fiscal.
As an update, I believe my interview with the gentleman I want to appoint to planning is next week. I believe he's been vetted completely. Is that right, Daniel?
Correct.
Okay, so as soon as I have a conversation with him, I'll likely ask you to get that on the next agenda.
Great.
Perfect.
All right. And I don't have any, do you have any updates for West Side? I know we had added somebody
Yeah.
The last
Two of
meeting?
the last meetings, I think we've added people, so I think they still have one opening yet.
Okay,
but
can we confirm that one, Daniel? Because I think we've had at least one appointment in the last 2
appointed
months for West
Jeff
Side.
Edwards
I will confirm.
and also, did we appoint Brent Gibson? I think we appointed Brent and Jeff.
All right, so we've got some, essentially colleagues will be looking at the details for year-end appointments, prepping for that. I know this is a busy time in the clerk's office, so thank you for all that you do, and at 8:13, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
right, good morning, everyone. We'll call the fiscal committee to order at 8:30. Without objection, I'm going to just request that we move item 10 to the first item on the agenda here. I believe the chief's got a meeting he's got to get to, so out of courtesy, we'll take care of that first. So that item is a resolution accepting a grant from the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the United States Department of Homeland Security 2021 for staffing adequate fire and emergency response safer grant program in the amount of $2,862,128.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Chief Lehman, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners, and members of Fiscal. I appreciate the accommodation for moving me up on the agenda. Today, we're asking your approval of the acceptance of a SAFER grant, which is the staffing for adequate fire and emergency response. This grant is in the amount of $2,862,000. It allows us to hire 8 personnel at zero cost to the city, no match, over the period of 3 years. This will allow us to upstaff both of our truck companies in the south end of town, providing better metrics for our ability to get more personnel to the scene of that south end where we're really suffering right now in our gap analysis over the last several years. And so this definitely will be an improvement. Also helping to man our utility, which is that vehicle that goes out on the highway, goes out about 1 3/4 times a day, and robs 1 personnel from that company on the south, thus taking that company out of service. So this will allow us to keep that company in service as well. So we appreciate your consideration. I would also like to recognize Lieutenant Ryan Sparks. And Lieutenant Sparks has been instrumental in us receiving over $17.6 million in grant funding for over the year to date. And Lieutenant Sparks, all of our grants in the fire service are very competitive grants, other than those grants where you just apply and they are issued to you. These are very competitive grants, and so we are very lucky to have Lieutenant Sparks and his team working on grants and bringing in over $17.6 million to the city that we wouldn't have had.
Very good.
Thank you.
Colleagues, are there questions for the chief about this grant?
No questions, just congrats.
Yes, congrats.
Nice work.
I'll ask the question I ask it every time we get a grant. After the expiration of the grant, is there a requirement that we continue to fund these positions?
There is not. I would hope that we're able to prove the value of these positions during the grant performance period. We will be reporting out on that every 6 months, but we can be reporting on that information monthly. We'll be collecting that data. And so we hope to be able to prove the value of those positions and be able to convince you to retain those positions afterwards.
Very good. Thank you, Chief. No further questions. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Lieutenant. All right, back to the top of the agenda here. We'll start with a resolution recognizing Albatross Aviary as a local civic organization.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Colleagues, are any questions about this item? Pretty standard. All right, hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 2 is a resolution authorizing advertisement with the Grand Rapids Griffins for $29,767 on behalf of Mobile GR.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Andrea Anderson, Mobile GR Business Manager. The item before you is a request for approval of an agreement with the Grand Rapids Griffins for advertising and marketing in the upcoming season. Mobile GR has partnered with the Griffins since 2018 to promote dash service, micromobility, and safety messaging to Griffins hockey attendees. We've been happy with the outcomes of those campaigns, so we'd like to continue for this upcoming season. The proposed agreement includes video advertising during games, digital ads in the electronic ticketing platform, and off-season promotional opportunities. The ads are focused on safety messaging, including sober driving, bicycle safety, and pedestrian safety. With
Very
that,
good.
I'll take any questions.
Colleagues? All right. hearing
Ready
none.
for hockey.
Yeah, all right. All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 3, resolution authorizing submission of documentation and execution of an agreement with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for a supplemental award of $169,393.01 in the Emergency Solutions Grants Coronavirus Funds.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Ms. Wilhotch, good morning.
Good morning. The city received 2 previous allocations of emergency solutions coronavirus funding, which were supplemental funding through the CARES Act. That was just under $3.2 million. All of those funds have been expended, which made us eligible to receive some of the recaptured funding. So we're one of 62 jurisdictions in the nationwide that is receiving some additional funds. So while it's not a lot of money, we're happy to have it, and we plan to allocate it along with our in our annual allocation process. which will launch in December. We did that as well with some unexpended CDBG CV funds where we put it within the annual process rather than doing a separate RFP. We'll just add some questions to that to the RFP application that makes sure that we identify eligible projects.
Very good, colleagues. All right, hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 4 is a resolution approving a professional services agreement with the Disability Advocates of Kent County for technical assistance not to exceed $10,000.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Mr. Overman, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you. This agreement will continue our partnership with the Disability Advocates of Kent County to support our design review for design team projects, as well as planning and building code as it pertains to accessibility to the sites that we are reviewing.
Very good. Colleagues, questions?
No, I don't have a question. I'm glad to see this come forward. We also work closely with disability advocates at the DDA, and their insight is really helpful. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Item 5 is a resolution approving Grand Rapids Public Schools PEG grant reimbursement in the amount of $23,315.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. It's a pretty standard item we get every quarter or so.
Yeah.
Questions?
I don't have any questions.
All right. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, resolution authorizing an agreement with Tetra Tech for technical and support services in the amount of $395,000.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Mr. Greener, good morning.
Good morning. So what this is a technical support contract. The big item in here for us is the programming costs to go ahead and help us do better with what we have out at the digesters right now, optimize our gas, optimize our solids disposal and things like that, along with developing O&M manuals and help us do better.
All right. Colleagues, other questions for Mr. Greener? No. All right. Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 7, resolution authorizing an agreement with American Rivers for continued stormwater credit trading program in the amount not to exceed $35,000.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Mr. Fett, good morning.
Good morning. This is just a continuation. You've heard about the credit trading program, which is our way of implementing green infrastructure and helping businesses implement our new code standards in the most effective, cost-efficient way. So this is just continual. We're getting very close to being able to start this program, doing seller's guides and template calculators for them, continued education, and just supporting us as we need to tweak the program.
All right. Colleagues? All right. Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8, resolution approving a contract in the amount of $33,214 with Proactive Project Incorporated for the Get Out the Vote phase of the participatory budgeting pilot.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Mr. Matthews?
Thank you. So as we're moving through the voting now, the steering committee wanted to contract with a community organization that could do on-the-ground outreach, support the voting activities that are happening out in the community. We've had events yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and this is the contract to support that activity.
Very good. Colleagues?
I don't have any specific questions about this contract, but so far, how is the voting going?
Last I checked, we were approaching 1,000 votes in the system. If you look proportionately, that's about 0.5% of the total population. But we had about 1,000 people submit ideas, and we've still got a few days to go.
Okay, great, thanks.
All right. Hearing none. No further comments. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 9, resolution authorizing $60,000 in support of recommendations from the SAFE Task Force.
Support.
Moved and supported.
Good morning, Commissioners and Mayor. This is a pitch and highlight night. We've done several of these in the past. This is an opportunity for the public, to voice what they think are projects that would be worthy of support, that would reduce gun violence and violence overall in our community. This one is a little bit different. In the past, we've done individuals and organizations. This year, we hope to do 5 organizations at a funding level of $10,000 each. And in addition, we would offer additional technical support and other organizational support through a separate $10,000 contract to support those organizations.
Very good. Colleagues?
If I could just add, thank you, Mr. Kane. We're excited about this pitch night, which will be tentatively at the end of November. Santi's like, I can't confirm it, specific date. But thanks for this work. We've been really appreciative of organizations that we met with last spring and trying to create a runway of work between essentially January through March, so we can be very prepared for when the spring season comes and we tend to see an increase, particularly in gun violence. So thanks for putting this together.
All right. Additional comments or questions? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
sir.
Have a nice day.
All right.
Thank you, Santi.
Jump from item 9 to item 11 here. Resolution accepting the continuation of a grant of $789,371 from the Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. DC Rogers, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners and Mayor. How is everybody? Yep, this is just a continuation of the Auto Theft Prevention Authority that allows a multi-jurisdictional auto theft team out of our department, which includes Kentwood and Wyoming and our department. We are the fiduciary for it. It allows for 2 officers and 1 sergeant, the fringe benefits and wages to be covered. And we're going on 20-plus years of using this grant, so.
Great.
Very good. Questions? All right, hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, DC.
Item 12 is our bid list resolution for October 4, 2022.
I don't have any questions.
Oh, was it supported?
Oh, this is a resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry. So moved.
Support. I'm like, I know it's not me.
No.
I'm like, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah,
Just put it on the table first.
Do it on this.
questions or comments? Anything you want to point
Yeah,
out?
there's just 12 items this week, so if there's any questions.
Colleagues, questions about any of the items on the bid list?
No,
All right.
pretty standard.
Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 13 is an add-on item for this morning. It's a resolution approving a contract with the National Civic League in the amount of $99,790 to conduct community feedback sessions to gather ideas for reforming police practices and community input structures.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported, Mr. Matthews.
Yeah, and we apologize. We had bring this on as an add-on. It was still under legal review as we were compiling the agenda, but we've got everything buttoned up on this. As we came out of the incidents over the summer, we felt like it was important to get a truly neutral third party that had experience conducting community-based engagement around public safety to be involved as the police department started to reframe and refine their strategic plan. The Civic League has pretty deep experience in this space, and we felt like bringing them in, and particularly bringing their fellows in, because a number of their fellows have done this work directly in communities that have been affected specifically by critical incidents. I mentioned in the memo Aurora, Colorado, Elgin, Illinois. They've done they've worked with a number of other communities as well. So our hope is that once we get this approved, as early as next week, they want to come and they want to meet with some of our key community organizations, of course, the NAACP, the UCC, the Urban League, the Chamber, to help understand what the expectations are from the engagement, and then start to plan that in collaboration with those organizations as well as the police department in the city, so that we can get that started towards the end of the month or the beginning of November.
Very good. Questions, colleagues?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Matthews, thanks for this. I know we already had our community night out for the first ward, but we still have the second and third wards that are planned. And I think the first one went well. It seemed like there were a number of people there, people that we might not always see, and providing some feedback. And certainly public safety was one of the themes. Will the National League or those fellows be able to come to any of those sessions?
We can ask. That wasn't part of the scope. So they're going to be organizing separate sessions within each ward. They're also going to do 3 focus group sessions with key cohorts within the community and offer an online session for folks that might not be able to attend one of the others. So that wasn't in the scope. That's certainly something that I can talk with them about. You know, I think any of the feedback that we get from those sessions, we can offer back to them as additional feedback as they put together their report, though.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I think just having a number of, there's so many things going on, especially with election season, lots of mail, lots of communications. And so just looking for ways to really pinpoint and get very, good feedback from individuals by not having too many things for them to go to. Will we also be working with our neighborhood associations? I know you mentioned different cohorts, but I just wanted to highlight them as well.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Item 14 is our warrant report, August 24, 2022 through September 20, 2022. Mr. Comptroller, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. So for the period of time referenced there, the city released cash payments totaling approximately $46.6 million. That includes just under $9.3 million for our employee payroll expense and just under $183,000 for income tax warrants during that period. In terms of quantity, 623 income tax refunds were issued and 2,118 checks and payments were issued. And the details of all those payments, both checks and electronic, are contained in the tables in the following pages.
Very good. Colleagues, questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Comptroller. That report is received and filed. And our final item on the agenda this morning is our treasurer's report for the period September 8, 2022 through September 21, 2022. Mr. Treasurer, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners and Mayor Bliss. With our report today, we want to focus a little bit on the fact that we're seeing yesterday and today some overall resurgence in the market. I don't hold that same belief. October has been historically a horrible month for stock markets. If we remember back to October 29, we've had some major hits in our market. The Fed is going to continue their path to continue to raise rates. So we're at 3 to 3.25 right now. We're expecting another 75 basis points in November, another 50 basis points in December. We've included a chart showing you that the expectation, this is from the Fed leadership, the FOMC committee, as they're projecting that they believe that these rates are going to go to 4.5 to 5%. They're going to slam the brakes on our economy. This is what the plan is because we're not fixing the dynamics of supply and demand, and we're not fixing some of the stuff that's out there right now. They're going to stop our economy, slow it down, get their handle on employment, where we have 11.5 million open jobs and only 6 million people that are unemployed. We've got issues that they're trying to solve, the Fed's trying to solve, and these are macroeconomic issues that are going to continue. From our perspective, we've done a very good job navigating in terms of our portfolio, and we're seeing it right now. You're seeing that we're over 2% right now, where we were bottomed out at 1.28%. We're purchasing investments right now. That's to our benefit. We're seeing investments over 4% that we're buying, and we're buying out longer. We're buying out for items that are going to mature in 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And it's really kind of one of those things you take a step back and say, we're a buy and hold organization. I won't be here when those mature. My retirement's going to be probably in 6 years. So you're thinking about the fact that we're laying this groundwork for the city to continue to earn good money on our investments over a longer period of time to cover these types of economic challenges. And that's what we need to do. And that's what we as an organization need to look at in the next 4 and 5 years. Where are we going to be financially, and really focus on how do we weather storms, because they're going to be there, whether they're challenges with legacy costs or whether they're challenges with inflation going up to 5%, whether we have challenges buying fixed assets or property or buildings. These are all things that we really should be focusing on. Operationally, we're excellent. But now we have to get the planning phase. And that's really going to be critical because my mantra has always been, I want to leave the organization better than what I found it. And so that's what we're doing with our investment policy. That's what we're doing with our operations. And really, we don't know what the Fed's going to do other than their projection. It's going to be 4.5% or 5%. The fear is they're going to get to a certain point and go, we overdid it. And if they drop it down, I mean, that's some really heavy economic turmoil that we've got to be prepared to deal with. But right now, I'm looking at our city resources and the reserve funds we have, and we are doing well. The interesting thing is that we're hoping to move forward with Public Act 20 changes, first quarter of 2023. That will even help us prepare even more so for the future. And so it will always have a robust investment policy and robust earnings on our reserve funds.
Very good. Colleagues, questions for the treasurer?
No, I wish I would have asked, you would have asked us good news first or bad news first? I like that you balanced it out. John, thank you.
You asked me a very challenging question at our last meeting, and you asked me about, what do you think about the economy? And I think I just used one word, negative.
Oh, I miss coming to these meetings, the fiscal committee.
All right. With that, we will, that report will be received and filed. And with no further comments, we will conclude this meeting at 8:51. Thank you, everyone.
call the Community Development Committee regular meeting to order this morning, October 4th. First item on the agenda is a resolution approving a fireworks discharge permit for Pyrotechnical FX for an indoor special effects at the Van Andel Arena in connection with the Carrie Underwood concert on October 18, 2022.
So moved.
Support.
Morning.
Morning. It's Carrie Underwood. So, they do have a new effect. It's a double barrel cannon.
Oh, wow.
All right.
It's gonna be, I'm guessing it's going to be like the cannon effect that they're using already, but it'll be a double shot. So, but I will find out.
Okay. Thanks so much. I'll go ahead and call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is a resolution setting October 18, 2022 as the date to consider an ordinance rezoning 101, 119, and 135 Garden Street Southeast, 670 to SD-PRD for the redevelopment of an existing industrial building into a mixed-use development and the construction of 16 detached homes.
So moved.
Support.
Very good.
Good morning, Commission.
Morning.
Yes, this property is about 1.5 acres, just shy. And if rezoned, it would facilitate the construction of Hope Village, which is a mixed-use development. It includes the rehabilitation of the former two-story industrial building that will have 10 second-floor apartments. There will be some commercial or amenity space for the residents on the ground floor. Excuse me. And in addition, on the east side of that property, the project would include 16 detached homes, which are referred to as tiny homes, that will serve the residents of Mel Trotter and next steps. So the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on September 8th. There was no public input provided, but the applicant did actually do some pretty extensive community outreach and engagement efforts and included a lot of that input into the design. So after careful deliberation, the Planning Commission does recommend approval of the rezoning of this industrial property to the planned redevelopment district.
That's very good. Very exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited, and I'm so thankful that Scott and Bill could be here from Next Step, and Commissioner O'Connor and I have been on this site. I know the mayor has been on this site to see it. I think the combination of the units inside the building and the community space, the tiny homes, the 5 single-family homes also that they're working on is going to create a really nice hub for a variety of activities there, and will also kind of mitigate any potential, ramifications of having a concentration of people in one location. So really excited to see this come forward and grateful that the Planning Commission was able to find a path for it.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, I just echo those comments and excited to see this move forward. I feel like it's been talked about for quite some time.
A long
so.
time.
Very good.
Now to raise the money, right?
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is a resolution scheduling a public hearing for October 18, 2022 to consider a brownfield plan amendment for the 280 Ann LLC redevelopment project at 280 Ann Street Northwest.
So moved.
Support.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this, again, is public hearing for October 18th for this project located at 280 Ann Street Northwest. It proposes a 4-story, the developer owns and proposes a new 4-story building, a little over 26,000 square feet. And one additional note, the addition will now include around 44 new apartments. It does stay 40, but it has increased a bit since this preparation of this memo. They are requesting some support from brownfield eligible activities over a 15 period and 5 additional years of local brownfield revolving fund capture. And again, related to the work for support of MBEs, MLBEs, and WBEs through our inclusion plan, these levels of participation for the inclusion plan would amount to 30%, or approximately $1.6 million of the overall project. Happy to answer any other questions.
Happy to see their commitment to wanting to create opportunities for the MLBEs and the MBEs and WBEs, so thank you for that. Colleagues, anything?
I'm just trying to picture this building in my head. It's behind the hotel there, and it's already a building, is
Right,
it
so
vacant?
they're going to put an addition onto the existing building.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, all
Yep.
right, thanks.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good, motion carries. Next item is a resolution approving an agreement with the Michigan Department of Transportation for a congestion mitigation and air quality grant for the Traffic Management Operations Center with a total cost of $660,000.
So moved.
Support.
Good morning, Commissioners and Mayor. So this morning, this is an annual award that we get from the state to run our Arterial Traffic Management Center, which for those of you who don't know, so we manage this center in partnership, and it's for most of the road authorities for Kent County and portions of Ottawa County as well. So this grant actually helps us fund staffing, operational costs, software licensing to keep all of the traffic signals in the region going. It's a federal grant for $528,000 and then $132,000 of local matches programmed. And because our fiscal year is different than the federal fiscal year, it's programmed in fiscal year 23, and then a portion will be in fiscal year 24. So it straddles 2 fiscal years for the city, but 1 for the federal government.
Very good. Thank you, Josh. Questions? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is a resolution approving a construction agreement in the amount of $65,000 and accepting public utilities easements and sidewalk and utilities easement for HOM Flats at Maynard.
So moved.
Support.
Good morning, Commissioners and Mayor. So this item, the agreement, will facilitate construction of sanitary sewer and water main that will serve apartments being constructed within the city. The development is located north of Lake Michigan Drive, east of Maynard. Per the agreement, the developer is depositing that $65,000 amount to cover our costs associated with the project, and the resolution also provides for acceptance of those easements to maintain the utilities.
Okay. Go ahead and call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Resolution approving an easement agreement at 11231 Lakeshore Drive, West Olive, Michigan, also known as Kurt's Summer Home, for nominal consideration. No, just joking.
So moved.
All right, so the city purchased this property back in 1991. It's the cottage home just north of the Lake Michigan water pumping station. One of the conditions of the purchase of that at that time was to provide a 10-foot access easement along the south side of that home property. Now the water department would like to relocate that access easement over to the northern side of the Gallimore property in anticipation of expanding operations. It's necessary to enter into an easement agreement with the property owners who have those existing access easements. There are 5 located across the street on the east side of Lakeshore Drive. And so with the release of the 10-foot easement, the agreement includes conveyance of a replacement easement that covers the northerly 17 feet of the property to provide continued access to the Lake Michigan shore and beach. Other conditions of the agreement are permanent structures are prohibited by the easement holders. The city will retain fee simple ownership of the easement area and has the right to make lawful use of it. All of the affected property owners have signed the easement agreement for nominal consideration. No financial compensation is being exchanged. So ask your approval of this easement agreement.
Very good.
I have peeked in the windows with permission of this cottage. It's pretty cool. I mean, it needs a lot of work, but I mean, it's pretty cool.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is a resolution approving an agreement with MDOT for the improvements in Eastern Avenue from 44th Street to 28th Street, approving a cost-sharing agreement with the City of Wyoming and authorizing $2,247,723 for the local share of the project cost.
So moved.
Support.
So this project will mill and resurface Eastern, generally between 44th and 28th Street, a distance of about 2 miles. Also included is about a mile of new sidewalk that's being installed, generally between 44th and 36th Street. New ADA ramps. We're installing a median island for a future hybrid beacon crosswalk near the Plaster Creek Trail. Landscape islands will also be installed, increasing green space, promoting traffic calming, and a net addition of 136 street trees.
So the estimated total project cost is about $4.5 million. We have an almost $2 million surface transportation program grant through MDOT for the road and a $230,000 transportation alternatives program grant to help fund the sidewalk work. So this resolution has three parts. First, it's seeking your approval of the necessary agreement with MDOT. The project will be bid through MDOT this Friday. The second element is a cost-sharing agreement with the city of Wyoming. Since it's a borderline street, their portion of the costs is $1,191,440. And then lastly, this resolution seeks your authorization of that total local expenditure of $2,247,723, which includes that anticipated reimbursement amount from the city of Wyoming. The city's share will come from the Vital Streets Fund and the Capital Improvement Fund.
Very good. Thank you. I'll call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is a resolution approving an increase of $100,000 for systematic sidewalk repairs at various locations, 2022-3, with a total project cost not to exceed $515,000.
So moved.
Support.
So we're asking for this increased authorization of $100,000 to cover additional costs of adding more ADA ramps and sidewalk repair locations than originally anticipated. This is specifically in the southeast end neighborhood in the 3rd Ward. So that increases our contract with KNR to a new total not to exceed $515,000, with that additional amount coming from the sidewalk repair fund.
Very good.
Chair, I
Please.
just have a question. City Engineer, I just have one question. I was out and about this past weekend for the tree planting, and someone had asked me, I know that when we're getting ready to do sidewalks, they paint an X and they start to identify where they need to do replacements. Are those then replaced within the same construction cycle? So are those all going to be replaced this fall? Or does
Yeah.
it carry over to next year?
I mean, unless we run into some poor weather, but that's the intent, is we go out and mark the locations to be removed, and then work orders are generated, and the contracts that we have in place across the city are then directed, those contractors are directed to make those repairs. So we do try to make those that are marked repaired in the same construction season.
Okay, great, thanks.
Very good. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is item number 9, resolution approving an increase of $302,000 for water main on the relocation of the East Side Trunk Sewer Project, contract number 1, with total project cost not to exceed $11,610,600.
So moved.
Support.
So there are two water main related items associated with this requested increase. The Water Department has had to respond to some recent breaks along the west side of Market, north of Oaks Street. And in fact, there were 4 repairs over the span of just a few weeks. During their field investigations, they discovered some significant pitting on the exterior of what's a relatively new water main installed in just 1996, suspected to be from corrosive soils in the area. So as a result, while the street is still open, the water system would like to handle this now through lining this 700-foot stretch of main. So even though it's a liner, there are areas that we have to dig pits and open things up. So now is the opportune time to do so. That cost is $225,000 coming from the Water System Fund, and that will restore the integrity of this main and add at least an additional 50 years of life to the pipe. So then the second part is the property owner that owns the existing parking lot on the west side of Market, south of Fulton, has requested the extension of fire protection and water service to the property to facilitate future anticipated redevelopment. And that requires upsizing approximately 55 feet of the 8-inch water main that's near the intersection of Market and Fulton to a 12-inch and stubbing out T's and valves to the property. That cost is $77,000 and will be paid for entirely by the private funds that have been previously deposited with the city for the project per the terms of the MOU that we have in place for the sewer project. So no costs to the city or the Convention Arena Authority, the other partners under that MOU, for this segment of the water main work.
There is one other area that I want to note that we're actively working on in terms of also pursuing the feasibility of extending water service to this same area at the Weston intersection. And that may necessitate bringing back one more item to you at your next meeting, but we're just still sorting out the feasibility of that, the timing that we have. Of course, we want to wrap things up and get the road open for winter, but that's something that we're currently working on. So the resolution before you seeks to increase the contract in the amount of $302,000 for that new total not to exceed of $11,610,600. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Glad that we caught it before they covered it up.
Exactly.
That's always helpful.
Right.
And remind us when Fulton and Market is going to be opened back up.
Yeah, so we're targeting mid-November. That's also when the asphalt plants close, so that's partly why we're targeting it. But no, that's feasible. And so this water main work that I just mentioned is, we're proceeding ahead as quickly as we can to get that in place. But they should be able to work first on the Fulton intersection and go as far south on Market as they can. The area at Weston is kind of the question mark that we're looking to resolve, and maybe worst case scenario, we have some temporary pavement that goes in over the winter months, but we're exploring every avenue, of course, to get the road open before winter hits.
Good. Great, thanks.
Thank you for that update. Okay, call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item is item number 10, resolution approving a construction agreement and accepting a public utilities easement for Pfeiffer Pines Site Condominium Phase 3.
So moved.
Support.
So this agreement will serve a site condo development in Kentwood with both sanitary sewer and water main. The 73-lot development is located north of 44th and west of Schaefer Avenue. And it also includes the public utilities easements, giving us right to maintain those utilities.
Okay. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Last item on the agenda is a resolution awarding a contract with Wyoming Excavators, Inc. for improvements to Cherry, Garfield, and Midtown Green Parks in the amount of $563,280 with total amount not to exceed $662,000.
So moved.
Support.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. This agenda item would allow the Parks Department to proceed with construction at these three park locations, Cherry Park, Garfield Park, and Midtown Green. At Cherry Park, we are replacing and rebuilding the basketball court and tennis courts there. So that would be a nice improvement for that park space. Garfield Park, we are redoing the basketball courts there as well. And then Midtown Green is more of a full park renovation with added play space, nature-based play space at that location. Construction is set to begin yet this fall, weather permitting, and then wrapping up at the beginning of the season next year.
All right, good to see the addition of pickleball courts.
Yes, it is.
It's blowing up.
Yes, it is. All right, colleagues, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay.
Here, can I ask David just one question about Cherry? So for Cherry, I know we've gotten a lot of feedback over the years about Cherry Park, and this is pretty consistent with the recommendations from the neighborhood.
Yes, it is.
And then the fence that's being replaced, will the fence then match all the way around instead of being
That is
multiple
correct.
different types of fence?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I know the little things matter. And
They do.
every
They
time I
do.
drive by there, it drives me crazy. Thanks.
Okay. Seeing no other items on the agenda, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks,
Great,
Joe.
thanks. right, good morning, everyone. Call this meeting to order. This is our Committee of the Whole meeting on this beautiful October day. We'll get started today. Commissioners, we have a number of action items before us today. We do have one item where Commissioner O'Connor will need to abstain. And then we have several items we need to discuss in executive session, including legal opinions as well as labor negotiation discussion. So I will ask right after that, when I call the vote to go into executive session, that we go immediately down to the city attorney's. 601. Oh, 601. You just told me that, and I wrote it down. Look at that. We're going to meet in 601. All right. With that, we'll get started. First item before us is a resolution approving the request from Chelsea Mancione for a liquor license to be located at 1919 Burton Street, Southeast.
So moved. Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. All right, next that'll take us to a resolution designating social districts where alcoholic beverages sold by multiple qualified Michigan Liquor Control Commission licensees may be consumed by purchasers pursuant to Public Act 124 of 2020. Can I get a motion?
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Mr. Canfield, do you want to tell us about this item?
Certainly. Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. The resolution before you would designate two new social districts, East Fulton, which is along a section of Fulton Street, and East Hills, along sections of Cherry Street, Lake Drive, and Diamond Avenue. Social districts are areas designated by the city as authorized by a state law adopted early on during the pandemic, where alcohol can be consumed in to-go containers sold by permitted businesses. To date, the city has designated 7 social districts downtown and in various neighborhood commercial districts. These would be the 8th and 9th districts. The districts have helped nearby businesses to thrive and recover since the pandemic. Staff from the Uptown Corridor Improvement Authority have led the planning effort for the new districts and have engaged with neighborhood groups and businesses to confirm their support. If the resolution is approved today, several steps will remain before the districts can be activated, including city permitting of the shared seating areas, transmittal of your approval to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, and MLCC permitting of the individual participating businesses. And these steps likely will take several weeks. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thanks, thank you. I know the next item is also related to this. I just have one quick question. Are any of the businesses hoping to close down portions of the street to add seating?
My understanding is only parklet-style on-street parking spaces.
Okay.
And
good.
a very limited number.
Okay, good. I'm sure many of us have heard mixed feedback about some of those streets continuing to stay closed, so. And I think parklets are a good alternative. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
All right, it passes. All right, next that will take us to a resolution recommending approval of a Michigan Liquor Control Commission of Social District Permit applications pursuant to Public Act 124 of 2020 as amended. Can I get a motion?
Support.
All right, moved and supported. I'm assuming there's no additional information, or City Clerk?
Just one thing, we did have a request for a social zone these are requests for in these new zones, but there's also one, if you look towards the end, for Noodle Pig, which is in the downtown Grand Rapids Social District. We just put their request in with this request as well.
Oh, great.
So, and they're located at 601 Bond.
Yeah, and on North Monroe, we're excited to have them open over there. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
All right, it passes. All right, next that will take us to a resolution approving the request from Monsoon Vietnamese Cuisine for a Development District liquor license located at 55 Monroe Center. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any questions about this item? All right, I know they are eager to get this approved. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. All right, that'll take us to the next item. This is a resolution approving a request for me to attend the U.S. Conference of Mayors Winter Meeting as well as the Mayor's Innovation Project Winter Meeting in Washington, D.C. from January 17th to January 22nd. Commissioners, these conferences are back-to-back, so I'll go right from one to the other. So moved. Thank you.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next will be a resolution to provide support for Commissioner Isasi to attend the Local Government Hispanic Network Annual Membership Meeting in Chicago on November 4th. Can I get a motion?
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Any questions or comments?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? It carries. All right, Commissioners, next that will take us to a number of items related to bargaining agreements. So the first one, I will read it and ask for it to be brought up on the floor, but then I'll turn it to our city manager to say a few words about all the items related to bargaining, and then we'll move through each one. So this is a resolution approving collective bargaining agreement with the Grand Rapids Employees Independent Union. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. City manager, you want to tell us about this item and any of the others?
Thank you, Mayor. I first of all wanted to say how thankful I am to our Labor Relations Office as Ken Deering slowly makes his way towards the microphone for all their work and working with all of our labor unions and coming to agreement. We know this is a very critical time for talent attraction, and we're pleased to bring forth the agreements related to GRU as well as APA. And I think there are a couple other agreements that we will have done the remainder, at least a couple at our last meeting this month, but the team has worked very collaboratively and hard with our employees, and we're just pleased to present this to you today. So very high level, unless Mr. Deering to highlight the agreements.
Oh, yeah. Is your mic on, Ken?
Thanks. Sorry. Good morning.
Good morning.
The first agenda item would approve a bargaining agreement with the GREIU. And the economic terms include an increase in shift premium pay from 90 cents to $1 for second shift and a 15-cent increase for third shift. An acting assignment increase from $1 minimum to a $2 minimum. An increase in a buyback of sick leave accruals from $1 to $2. We're adding Juneteenth holiday and increasing parental leave from 1 week to 2 weeks. And we're including a retention pay provision that pays an annual amount based on years of service. And it includes wage increases of 5% in 2022, 3% in 2023, and 2% in 2024, as well as a $1,000 signing bonus. And then a couple items after this will be the salary ordinance that would approve that as well.
Great, thanks. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Deering? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, and next it'll take us to the companion item that Ken alluded to. This is a salary ordinance for employees represented by the Grand Rapids Employees Independent Union, consistent with the contract. Can I get a motion? All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any questions? No. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next that will take us to a resolution approving collective bargaining agreement with the Association of Public Administrators. All right, moved and supported. Ken, anything to add on this item?
Just the general economic terms, also increase in the bereavement leave here from 2 to 3 days, increase in the amount of sick leave you can convert to personal leave from 40 hours to 48, increase in the contribution, the employer's contribution to the 401A from 6 to 7%. Also adding a G-step to the salary scale. And also adding the same retention pay scale as the prior agreement. Adding Juneteenth holiday and a one-time $1,000 stipend These wages are 5% in 2022, 3% in 2023, and 1% in 2024. Again, this has a salary ordinance also that after this that needs to be approved.
All right. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, Commissioners, and next that will take us to an item that is a companion. This is a salary ordinance for the employees represented by the Association of Public Administrators. Can I get a motion?
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any additional questions? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? It carries. All right, and then the last item is ordinance amending Section 1 of the Budget Ordinance 2022-13 for fiscal year 2023. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
All right, and again, Commissioners, this is making the adjustments based on the collective bargaining agreements. Oh, and
Yep.
our CFO can tell us about this item.
Yeah, I was just going to add that you'll remember when we put together the budget, we estimated most of these units at 4%. So the total of the budget amendment for APA is just south of $600,000, and then total for GREIU about $1.2 million. And then we also made allocations for the previous agreements we've done to date. So the crime scene technicians, that was a smaller adjustment, only $13,000 there. The emergency communications supervisors, as well as the emergency communications operators, that was about $5,600. So that's the adjustments we had to make for budget.
But the total is 1.8 million for all agreements?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. City Manager, anything to add?
No, Mayor, I'm pleased to, again, bring forth these recommendations and find a way to fund them within the existing budget.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? It carries. All right, and I'll add my thanks to the team, the bargaining team, but also to all of our employees. Really appreciate people coming together to identify ways to move forward with these contracts, so thank you. All right, Commissioners, we have a very brief update on participatory budgeting. We are in the midst of voting right now in our community. Oh, yeah. I thank you, Joel. But before we go to that, I'm going to call the question for executive session so that after this brief presentation, we can just move right down to 6:01. So Commissioners, can I get a motion to go into executive session for a number of legal issues and opinions as well as bargaining?
So moved. Support.
All right, moved and supported, and this is a voice vote. So Commissioner Isasi?
Yes.
Rappert?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
O'Connor?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Thank you. All right, now I'll turn it over to Mr. Matthews, and you can give us an update. Hopefully, all of you have gone on and voted or been out to one of our locations and voted, but we'll get an update from Mr. Matthews now.
Thank you, Mayor. We are on the final stretch of the first half of the process, I guess is the way that I would put it. So the participatory part of this, now once the projects come out, then there's going to be another process for implementation. But this is, we've made great progress, and as you heard, we're now in the voting process. So I just wanted to give you a quick update. This is where we are from a timeline perspective. We formed that steering committee back June and July of last year, and we're now in the voting process here about 13 months later. So our current status, reflecting back on the ideation process, we had more than 1,000 people participate and offer ideas. We had 629 ideas submitted, and you see the distribution there across each one of the wards. At that point, community members, budget delegates review all of those proposals. They ask questions, they get numbers, they reflect it back against the original intent and values that the steering committee established, and they came up with 9 proposed ideas in the first ward, 8 in the second, and 10 in the third that are currently on the ballot. So interesting observation as I look through these is that most of the final ideas centered around services as opposed to infrastructure. 21 to 6. That's fine. It speaks to what the community wants to see, but it also does create some additional responsibilities on the city side to prepare RFPs to solicit bids on those projects once they're selected. Many of the ideas actually build on or expand on some of the work that we're already doing, which I think reflects a pretty good alignment between what you've established as priorities, what we've been able to operationalize, and what's being done in the community. And I've listed some of those items here. So voting is underway, as I mentioned. It runs through tomorrow, October 5th. These numbers are actually old. I was just over there checking. We actually have 1,083 votes cast as of about 8 minutes ago. And that's just the digital vote. So there's paper voting as well. So that'll be compiled and that'll be added to that number once we receive them. The patterns here still track on the number of votes. Second Ward has the highest turnout at this point, followed by the third, followed by the first. As I mentioned, those votes will be compiled, they'll be validated, so we have some ability in the digital system to check, make sure that folks didn't vote for all of the wards and things like that. And as I mentioned, some of these might require an RFP development and bid process in order to initiate the work. There's others that might come forward as budget amendments. So one of the ideas on there you probably noticed is lead service line replacement, prioritizing and funding additional work in the third ward. That's something that we can do simply through a budget amendment and then work with the department to prioritize that work. So our primary voting locations for anybody that still wants to participate, any public library location, Grand Rapids Public Library location is a voting site right now. Yesterday, we had an event at Roosevelt Park. Today, from 4 to 7, we'll have an event at the Lafayette Graffiti Wall. And then tomorrow at Joe Taylor Park. And then, of course, anybody can vote from home through pbgr.org. It's pretty intuitive. The city treasurer tells me that it was quite easy. And he's a tough customer to please. So I hope folks get out and participate.
All right, I'll turn it to my colleagues for questions. I'll start with the first one. So I voted online, and then I had a couple people follow up and ask me why we were requesting some of the personal information, and I know that's because we want to make sure that, one, you're a city resident and that you live in that ward. But can you elaborate a little bit on that, and then also any assurance that that information is kept confidential and not used in any other way?
Sure. I actually received, it might have been the same, one of the same inquiries at least, and responded to it yesterday. So yes, it's for us to be able to validate before folks are taken to the ballot. It's important to note that that validation information is actually collected in a separate system from the voting information. So we can't tie back personal information to their actual participation in the process. And we don't have any need to keep that record when we're done because that record's not attached to anything other than that validation process.
Great, thank you, thank you. And then I'll make one other observation with the final projects. An observation I had, and commissioners, I don't know if you felt the same way, was that a number of the items are efforts that we are already investing in, whether it's lead line replacement or some of the park investments, some of the work we're doing around violence prevention, neighborhood match fund. So I found it really interesting because it affirms some of the things that we're already doing, but also lets us know that people want to see more of that, and that can inform us as we go into next year's budget cycle. So, Commissioner Isasi?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Could you share, today in fiscal, we had the approval to, obviously it's got to go tonight, to work with Proactive. Could you just share, I think it's always nice to be able to tie some things we did before to this general update.
Sure. So yeah, this morning at fiscal, contract was approved with Proactive. They're a community-based organization that does grassroots outreach. They're helping support the events that are taking place over the next 3 days, but they're also sending community members out into the community, both to support voting, to do door knocking, to encourage participation in the process. The steering committee, my understanding is, felt like working with one organization that could scale to do that work was the most effective thing to do at this point, and that's what that contract is related to.
Great, thanks. Commissioners, any final questions? City Manager?
Yes, Mayor. I want to thank steering committee and Mr. Matthews and all the staff and volunteers who've been working on this. We recognize Griselda Estrada, who has been spending a significant amount of time of her job in helping with the administration of the PB process. But I wanted to go back to a discussion around the implementation, and just to be clear, we're looking forward to the outcome of the votes, and as Mr. Matthews said, they're depending on the projects that are selected, and ultimately we would come for ratification of those projects by the commission. There are some short-term that may just be budget amendments that supplement the current work. As he said, there may be some where we have more of a midterm or mid-year budget amendment when we bring back after we do the work, and there's others where we would have to plan to synthesize the work with what's upcoming in the upcoming fiscal year. So we won't bring all the items back at once, and so once we know what they are, we can then come up with some type of implementation plan.
Yeah, I also, just in conclusion, I wanted to point out that, I don't want any community member to think that any one of those 1,000 plus ideas is just going to be purged from the system. At this point, all of that's posted publicly, and in my observation, there are a lot of things in there that can help inform how we do our own planning at a departmental level. So, the budget delegates may not have prioritized it, but when we're talking about things like traffic safety, intersection improvement, services, things like that, those are all things that we can take back and we can talk about as we're preparing the budget as well. So.
All right. Commissioners, any final questions or comments? All right, let's all do what we can to continue to encourage people to vote over the next day, and hopefully we'll get those numbers up even more. So, Doug, thank you for your work on this, and all of the city staff, as well as all of the steering committees that have gotten us to where we are today. It's taken a lot of work, and we really appreciate that. So with that, Commissioners, we will end our Committee of the Whole. Please head right downstairs to 601 for our executive session. Thanks.